so that you guys have like a little record of it. So if you go to the classwork tab, and you go to Does It Matter Where You Live, Part 1. So I'm going to give everybody a second and make sure that you're getting there. I'm going to pause for just a minute. And while you're getting in there, I know a lot of you guys are in APHG. If you're in civics, though, you know that the first little bit of civics class, it talks about how where you're from typically impacts your identity. And we all know that there's a lot happening around Louisville right now for sure, right? It's been a pretty action-packed and, in my opinion, kind of exciting time, even though it's definitely come with some negatives. I think there are definitely some things about the system that need to change, without a doubt, without getting in there, without getting too political. So we're gonna actually use statistics to investigate some characteristics of our various neighborhoods here in Louisville. And so we are going to do that. You're going to open up the document. And it's being a little slow. Here we go. So I'm going to kind of walk you through how to do each of these steps. And this is going to be due on our next class meeting on Friday. You don't have to work. Well, actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me just go ahead and explain first. All right. So step 1, it says use this Louisville map to choose 10 zip codes. So you are going to click on this link, and you will get a map that literally has every zip code in the Louisville metro area. And we are going to do some data analysis of certain characteristics of each of those neighborhoods throughout Louisville. And this is going to end up actually being a backpack artifact for you. It seems like it's going to be a million years until you graduate, but your senior year is going to sneak up on you before you know it, and you're going to have your defensive learning to do, and you need some good quality artifacts for your backpack, and this is actually going to be your first one that's going to come from your math class. So the first thing you've got to do is choose 10 zip codes that you are going to base your analysis on. I am not going to be picky about what 10 you choose. If it were me doing the choosing, and actually I have my own sample that I'm going to share with you guys a little bit when we come back and evaluate these on Friday, I personally would choose zip codes from all over the area, so that we get kind of a diverse range of locations. I want to make sure I have north, south, east, west end, everything together. So I would choose 10 zip codes from all over the place, and I would definitely include my own zip code. I don't care, honestly. It's not like I'm going to look you guys up and, see if you used your own zip code. I think that's more interesting to do that analysis where I live, but it's not necessary. You don't have to. So you're going to go through this map. You are going to choose 10 zip codes, and then you are going to record those 10 zip codes right here in the box where it says use the Louisville map to choose 10 zip codes. You're going to type those 10 zip codes that you are going to investigate right there. So those are the ones that you're going to be stuck with for a little bit. So once you've decided which 10 zip codes or neighborhoods or however you want to think about it that you're going to use, you have to decide what it is exactly that you're going to analyze. And I'm calling these characteristics. I'm going to give you an example of what I mean by characteristics. So if you go to the link that is on this second slide, right here, and you open it up, this is a database that was created by a university that has, just a crap load of information about every zip code in the United States. So I'm going to type my zip code right here into the box. so that you can get an example of kind of what you're going to see. So I'm going to type in 40204. I'm going to click search. And it's going to give me an insane, some people might even think it's a little overwhelming, an insane amount of information about my zip code. It tells you everything from, like, there's some real basic stuff here, like how many schools are in that neighborhood. Gives you information about the population, how many people are employed. If you scroll down, I mean, it's really a ton of stuff. So, for example, it gives you basic information like median household income, the population. It gives you information about ages. So, for example, the median age of a person that lives in my zip code is 36. Stuff like that. It gives you a gender breakdown. It gives you racial breakdown. Lets you know what, whether more people like own their own home or rent their own home. How many families there are that have, 2-parent households or single. There's a ton of information here, like an absolute ton of it. How much houses cost. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on and on. So out of all these pieces of information that this website offers you, you need to think to yourself, what are the 2 things that I'm interested in investigating? So I'm going to be extremely lame here for a minute. And just because I'm your average white lady, please do not choose these 2 categories because they're lame. But I'm just using them as an example. So the 2 things I'm going to look at, since I'm a white lady, I'm going to investigate for each of my zip codes. I'm going to examine what percent of the residents are white. And I'm going to investigate what percent of the residents are female. For each zip code that I've already chosen ahead of time. So when it says 2 characteristics, it's 2 pieces of information of all the different options that you have there on that zip code list. If you have another website, I actually had a student who is, apparently this is kind of his thing. He's like a kind of a stats fan. He actually knows a few websites to go to get other pieces of information. And that's fine if you don't want to use, but you've got to be able to get a statistic over a particular topic for 10 zip codes. So if you found another place to get different information, that is fine by me. All right, so you're going to choose your 2 things that you're investigating. Again, I know mine are lame. So what am I going to do with that information? So on the first slide, this is where I'm going to collect data for what percent of the people in those various zip codes that I chose are white. So and then you're going to record it right here. Now yours doesn't say percent white. Yours says like characteristic 1. So you're just going to change the words characteristic 1 to like whatever it is that you're investigating. I changed mine to percent of white people. So I'm going to go through for each of the zip codes that I chose. So I'll start with my own zip code. So I'm going to write for zip code 40204. And now I'm going to look and see what percent of my zip code is white. And I know off the top of my head, it's really flipping white. Oh yeah, it's really white. It's like 80, and it's okay if you guys just round to the nearest percent, by the way. Like, I would go ahead and just make this an 87 instead of an 86.8. So on my slide, for that zip code, I'm going to type, oh shoot, I already forgot. What percent was that? 87. Okay, so I'm going to type for 40204, 87% of that zip code is white. Then I'm going to choose, obviously I've chosen 9 more zip codes, right? So let's say I choose 40202. Just because I know that that one's very different from my own, where I live. So I'm going to type in, I'm going to go up here to the search box. I'm going to change it to 40202. And I'm going to search. And the website will tell me that this zip code is much more diverse. I know that. Okay, so this zip code is roughly 39% white. So then on my slide, I'll type 39%. So I'm going to do that for each of the 10 zip codes. I'm going to collect the percent of white people that live in each of those zip codes. Once I get those 10 percentages, then I am going to follow these directions and I'm going to calculate the mean, median, mode, and range of each of those 10 percentages. Make sure you show your work on this slide. You can do it on paper and you can just upload it that way if you want to. I'm not picky about that at all. As long as it is on the slide, I don't care. So 10 zip codes, look up 10 numbers that represent that first characteristic you want to examine, record them, and then you're going to do the mean, median, mode, and range of those 10 numbers. Okay? Then on the next slide, I'm going to take those same 10 numbers, so the percentage of white people that live in each zip code, and I'm going to turn those 10 numbers into a box plot on the next slide. If you're like me and you're a really terrible drawer, I have included for you on your classwork tab under helpful tools and links. There's this really great that this will actually probably come in handy for you guys all year long. Well, for as long as we're doing this online stuff anyway. It's a number line generator. So let's say I want to make a number line for my box plot and I want it to go from, 0 to 40. I put in 0, starting number, ending number, 40. Increment just means how much is it going up by. Create. And it gives me a nice, neat, straight, already labeled number line. So that then I can just take a little snapshot of it and I can paste it right there into my slide and then do the box plot on top of it. You don't have to do it that way. If you are much better at being neat than I am and you don't struggle with that, you don't have to do that, but I did put that there as a resource for those of you who would want to do that. Okay, so after you've done that for characteristic number 1, you need to choose characteristic number 2. So because I'm a lady, I decided I'm going to look at percent females for each of those zip codes. So you're going to do exactly what you did up here for your first one. You're going to do the same thing for your second set of statistics. You're going to write down the zip codes. You're going to look up the percent, say you're doing what I'm doing, the percent females for each of those zip codes. And then you will calculate the mean, median, mode, and range of those 10 pieces of data. And you're going to make a box plot out of that as well. So between now and Friday, let's make sure we got that. You are picking 10 zip codes. What 2 topics do you want to investigate? Collect 10 numbers for each of those topics. And then find the mean, median, mode, and range. And make a box plot for each of those. If you want to work on this with a partner, you can. Keep in mind that this is going to go in your backpack. So you do need to have like a copy for each of you. So let's say in a minute, once I finally shut up, if you decide, you ask somebody in class if they want to work together, all you guys need to do is make sure that one of you clicks the share button and put the email address of the person that you're going to work on it with right up there. And then you'll both have access to that presentation, and then you can either, meet over chat on your own time, or you can actually chat by typing comments right there into the, right there onto the slides as well, if you want to. So you are allowed to work with a partner for this too. So I will be doing a support session. I haven't written this down on Google Classroom yet. If you still got about 10 minutes to kind of get started on this, but if you realize you've got some questions, you're kind of like, tomorrow, Thursday, I haven't added it to the schedule yet, but I'm getting ready to. Tomorrow on Thursday from 3 o'clock. I know, my screen's freezing on me now too. Can you guys at least hear me?
We're freezing back.
Ah! Oh, my whole screen just went black. Good grief. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. I'm gonna, well, and I'm recording this for you guys too in case there's something that we missed. So I'm gonna be doing a session just for those of you guys that have questions about this. And I'm gonna do that tomorrow, right here after fourth period at 3 o'clock tomorrow. So if you feel like you still have a lot of questions, you want to work on it with me, you just want to sit and work on it with me while I'm here to ask any questions if you need to. I will be here on the extra help link at 3 o'clock tomorrow, so you guys can get some extra help on this if you need. So, what questions do we have about the project, about what the expectation is for this work right now? Bueller? Nobody? We're good? I hope. Okay. So I did